ग्रीटिंग्स टू वन एंड ऑल, वेलकम टू द चैनल। आज हम आपके साथ फिर से इंपॉर्टेंट दो टॉपिक्स डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, जिसमें सबसे पहला इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है मनरेगा। महात्मा गांधी नेशनल रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी एक्ट, राइट टू वर्क को एनफोर्स करने वाला ये पर्टिकुलर लॉ। इस पर्टिकुलर लॉ में अमेंडमेंट्स यानी बदलाव का सजेशन आया है। एमजी नरेगा एक बेसिकली गवर्नमेंट की फ्लैगशिप स्कीम है। रिसेंट ऑब्जर्वेशन के हिसाब से जो गरीब स्टेट्स हैं, पुअरर स्टेट्स जो हैं, जैसे कि उत्तर प्रदेश, बिहार, ये स्कीम्स में बहुत अच्छा नहीं कर पा रहे, जबकि इनको बेसिकली पॉवर्टी के एलिविएशन के लिए, रिमूवल के लिए अच्छा काम करना चाहिए। और दूसरे कंपैरिजन में वहीं पे जो इकोनॉमिकली बेटर स्टेट्स हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल केरला, वो उसको एक क्रिएशन टूल की तरह इस्तेमाल कर चुके हैं, जहां पे एसेट उन्होंने काफ़ी क्रिएट किया है स्टेट के अंदर। और ये जो एक्ट है ये 2005 में पास किया गया था। तो ये क्यों है डिस्क्रिपेंसी? आफ्टर ऑल, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस डिस्क्रिपेंसी एमजी नरेगा डिमांड्स इमीडिएट अमेंडमेंट एंड चेंजेस. Now, for that very same purpose, the central government has constituted a committee which is basically going to look into the implementation of MG नरेगा scheme. और ये देखेगा कि ये प्रोग्राम कितना एफिकेशियस है, क्या वाकई में ये पॉवर्टी एलिवेशन टूल की तरह काम कर रहा है कि नहीं कर रहा है. द क्वेश्चन इज, ये कमिटी किसके अंदर बनाई गई है? हु इज द चेयरपर्सन? नाउ द फॉर्मर रूरल डेवलपमेंट सेक्रेटरी अमरजीत सिन्हा इज द चेयरपर्सन हु इज हेडिंग दिस कमिटी. इनकी पहली मुलाकात 21 नवंबर 2022 को हुई और 3 महीने का समय मांगा है इन्होंने अपने सजेशन सबमिट करने के लिए. महात्मा गांधी ये जो एक्ट है ये 2005 में पास किया गया था और एक डिमांड ड्रिवन स्कीम की तरह काम करता है, यानी कि जहां कहीं भी काम रिक्वायर्ड होता है वहां एमजी नरेगा को यूज करते हैं. इसके अंडर 100 डेज ऑफ अनस्किल्ड वर्क पर ईयर फॉर एवरी हाउस होल्ड. प्लीज रिमेंबर, 100 दिन का अनस्किल्ड वर्क पर ईयर है फॉर एवरी हाउस होल्ड, नॉट एवरी पर्सन. Now currently 15.51 crore workers are enrolled under this scheme, which is a very huge numbers, right? सिन्हा कमेटी को ये टास्क दिया गया है कि उनको देखना है कि एमजी नरेगा अलग अलग स्टेट्स में अलग तरीके से इम्प्लीमेंट क्यों किया जा रहा है, क्या उसका एक्सपेंडिचर ट्रेंड है और इंटर स्टेट वेरिएशंस और काम जो प्रोवाइड हो रहा है एमजी नरेगा के अंदर वो कैसा है. It will try to change the governance structures and change the focus of MG Narega to make it more effective. Now, the present committee will also look into the cost of providing work. Actually, that is the burden on the states. And why this cost of providing work has shot up since the scheme was first started. This is very important point for the states to be considered. Now, MG Narega, the critics have stated that whatever assets, whatever work is being provided, is not very useful for the public, and that is why the tangible asset creation is not there under MG Narega, and this is the failure of MG Narega as per them. Now this committee will also try to study what is the nature of the work that has been provided under the scheme and should it be changed. So it will further review whether the work that is to be provided should be based on community based assets, for example creation of a well, canal, road, like that, or for individual works, contractual basis. This is to be seen. Now the financial year is coming to an end. The government of India is about to announce the budget. 59,420 crores have been already spent out of the total 73,000 crores sanctioned for the scheme. The bulk of the money is already used. Now, the Rural Development Ministry has recently stated that we need additional 25,000 crores from the Finance Ministry because they expected that the expenditure would be more in comparison to what they have asked for in the previous year. Now, they have utilized much of the money and they need 25,000 crore rupees more, right? In 2020 and 21, it has been stated that the number of person days of work which is provided has moved to 389 crore days of work has been provided in India for this particular year. Now, if we compare it with previous year, it was only 265 crores. So there is an addition in the number of working hours that has been provided. But still the poorer states are not able to perform well. In 2021-2022 data, the previous year data, the demand for the work was very high, and this basically created 363 crore person days of work were generated. Currently, if we talk about 196 crore per person days of works have already been generated this year. So this is also a positive sign with regards to the scope of MG Narega. But then it needs certain changes. Now there are some of the questions that we will practice. The one of the question is that the Rural Development Ministry and ISRO have signed a memorandum of understanding for what purposes. It tells you the geo tagging for road development, monitoring building of village infrastructure, monitor geotagging assets created under MG Narega, and monitoring and recording water supply. Now the Rural Development Ministry and ISRO basically have signed this for geotagging assets created under MG Narega, and then only you can identify the kind of assets which are being created, and then only you can pass a judgment on that. So it is found that around 30 lakh assets which are created annually across the country under this scheme has decided to go through and merge with other schemes. For example, geotagging of such assets will be done on a mission mode. Using which platform? Bhuvan Mobile platform. The geotagging will be done, and it will be done along with a photograph of Gram Rozgar Sahayak or junior engineer will help. Alright. National Mission for Green India is merged with. This is very important. Again, the correct answer is MG Narega. Now about this scheme, the government has basically announced this scheme as an afforestation drive. 10 million hectares of land over the next decade had to be planted with trees, and now that is a part of MG Narega to improve the country's forest cover. This is very important. Alright. Now there is another question that you need to practice. So we'll do it on the next page. The question is that you need to consider the following statement with regards to MG Narega, that it fulfills the constitutional rights in India. So you need to wonder what constitutional rights are there. Now when we say that right to work is a important right, so right to work is associated with right to livelihood. Now right to livelihood is basically stated by Supreme Court of India to be a part of Article 21. So if you notice, right to life is a part, whereas right to work is not either a constitutional right, neither it is a legal right, nor it is a statutory right, we can say. But yes, right to work definitely emanates from when this particular act promises you 100 days of work. So you can say that right to work under Narega is a statutory right. But there is no constitutional right as such in India. So in that particular sense, we need to focus on the crux of the matter. That if this statement is not correct, let's look at the other statements where it is written that it is implemented by Gram Panchayat. Now to an extent we are pretty much sure about the second statement. Now let us check the third statement. Now if you look at the third statement, the places where recent unseasonal rain and hailstorms have affected crops, the government will increase the number of work days under MG Narega scheme to 200 from 100. Now this statement is quite unusual and there is no such update that we are aware of. So statement 3 is completely incorrect. Statement 3 is completely incorrect. Now we look at these options. Now when we look at these options, we are easily able to eliminate 1 and 3 because statement 3 is completely incorrect for us. So we'll eliminate option B and option C, which has 3 in the answers. Now accordingly, we are left with 1 and 2. Now, all of the above also cannot be a prudent answer. So, we are definitely left with 1 and 2, even if I have a strong disagreement with the very first statement. So basically, we need to understand that in this particular matter, it is not talking about just one right, it is talking about other constitutional rights also. So Article 21 of the Constitution has guaranteed the right to life with dignity to every citizen. And basically, this is basically the correct statement that the government will try to increase the work to 150 days instead of 200. Now, this is where you need to understand. Now, this problem was recently highlighted also with regards to MG Narega, that they are also out of funds, and that is why thereby they need additional funding, and that is what we were checking right now, because ये कह रहे थे कि इनको एडिशनल फंडिंग चाहिए, और बहुत सारे स्टेट्स हैं जो कि पैसा यूटिलाइज कर चुके हैं पर इनका पैसा सफिशिएंट नहीं पड़ रहा है. दूसरे इंपॉर्टेंट करंट अफेयर्स आज हम देख रहे हैं दोस्त, और हम देख रहे हैं बीटिंग रिट्रीट सेरेमनी के बारे में, जहां पे 26 जनवरी के पश्चात के बाद में बीटिंग रिट्रीट सेरेमनी हुई. और ये कहाँ पे होती है? ये विजय चौक दिल्ली में होती है. इट इज़ बेसिकली एन एंड टू द रिपब्लिक डे सेलिब्रेशंस इन इंडिया, एंड this is country's biggest drone show was displayed, about to be displayed at beating retreat, but due to rain showers that particular show could not be displayed. Now there might be important questions which can be made from this particular ceremony. So according to the official curtain raiser which we had looked into before the ceremony was being announced, a magnificent drone show was to be conducted where 3,500 indigenous drones were to be used. Now they were going to light the sky over Raisina Hill, and they were going to create a lot of innumerable forms of national figures and events. Now whatever drone formation that we see is called as a visual projection, which is called as anamorphic projections. Now anamorphic projections are 3D in nature. So this means that the anamorphic projection tries to project on a larger surface a distorted image with the use of optical transformation devices. Now, optical transformation devices means which change the direction of the light, such as mirrors, lenses, and they basically give you the illusion of reality. Here, 3,500 drones were to be used for this anamorphic projection. If we further talk about what else we can understand from the beating retreat ceremony, that basically it's a push to the startup ecosystem, because the drones that are being displayed right now basically reflect country's youth and the potential path-breaking trends of the future. These drones are developed by Bot Labs Dynamics, a very important question that can emanate from this particular fact. Which also had performed previously in the beating retreat ceremony. Now, this particular event that happened in 2022 was organized by Bot Lab, and it was supported by IIT Delhi. Alright, and the Union Government's Department of Science and Technology. Basically, the show lasted for 10 minutes and had initially involved 1,000 drones. With the background music, first time the drones were used, and it was definitely a spectacular success. However, we could not conduct the meeting this year. Now, there is a question interesting for you. Who among the following is the infamous person who developed the beating retreat ceremony? Now, options are Major Gilberts, Major Roberts, Major Irving, and Major John. The correct answer is obviously Major Roberts, and the reason being that this ceremony was called as a beating retreat because in 1950s the Union Minister of Government of Culture had stated at that time in 1950 that when Major Roberts of the Indian Army developed this unique ceremony of using bands and a show, of putting up a show, since then it is called as the beating retreat ceremony. Alright, so that's all from the two current affairs that we are going to discuss. From the maps, we are going to look into the Arabian Peninsula. Now, if you look into the Arabian Peninsula, if you spend some time over here, you will find that it is the peninsula which is like a hanging boot. It's like a hanging boot. And it's connecting. If you look into these countries, you will find that these are African countries, and Iran and Iraq are Asian countries. So Arabian Peninsula is a link between Africa and you can say Asian countries. If you look closely over here, you will find this particular region, Sharm el Sheikh. Now just look at the location of Sharm el Sheikh. It is another smaller hanging boot. Alright, that is just above, you can say, Israel. Now in this particular location you will find Israel to be there, and there you will find Egypt to be there. So Arabian Peninsula is a peninsula that is situated between the Red Sea, then there is a Persian Gulf, Arabian Sea, Gulf of Aden. Let's look into the countries that belong to the Arabian Peninsula. So the coastal countries that belong to this particular peninsula are Oman and Yemen. If you particularly look into Oman, India has strategic ties with Oman. Now, if there is a very smaller country, United Arab Emirates, this particular region. If you look into more detail, you will find that Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all are there. Now, this particular country, smaller country, is again Qatar, which is very infamous for all United Nations negotiations that go on. Look at this country, this is Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia ke baad, when we move further ahead, you find another smaller country to be situated here, which is Kuwait. If you look into Kuwait, you will find another island country, smaller country, that is called as the Bahrain. Now, this is important for you to understand that Arabian Peninsula consists of Saudi Arabia, which by and large is a very larger region. Most of it is surrounded by desert region. And the presence of desert region can be understood because if you notice, Hijaz mountain and Asir mountains are basically going to stop the moisture laden wind which is going to enter into the Arabian Peninsula. So this particular region on the leeward side of the Arabian Peninsula of the mountains is definitely going to be desert. Now, if you look into United Arab Emirates, the size is practically very small. All right. Now, United Arab Emirates and Dubai all are situated at this particular region. Look at this important port, the Bandar Abbas port, located where it is called as the Strait of Hormuz area. Now, Strait of Hormuz area is located near the Bandar Abbas port, which is situated in Iran. Recently, Bandar Abbas port along with another port, the Chabahar port, has been there in the news. India is trying to develop these ports. Now, this is particular map that is very important for you to understand and remember. So, if we talk about Arabian Peninsula, this particular peninsula, which is surrounded by water on three sides, basically was created because of the rifting of the Red Sea. The Red Sea was shifting somewhere 56 and 23 million years ago. And that is why you will find Red Sea, Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, the Levant and the Mesopotamia on the north, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean to the southeast. The peninsula is a very important area in the geopolitical dynamics because it is basically Arabs area and it has vast reserves of oil and natural gas. Now, Arabs and the Ottoman Empire together basically ruled this particular region, and this is where they used to call it the land of Arabs, Bilad al-Arab, अरेबिया, ठीक। और इसके मेजर डिविजन्स होते थे, एक बिलाद अल शम द लेवेंट, बिलाद अल यमन येमेन एंड बिलाद अल इराक इराक. Alright, the Arabian Peninsula is located in the continent of Asia and is bounded by this particular regions: Persian Gulf in the northeast, Strait of Hormuz and Gulf of Oman on the east, Arabian Sea on the southeast, Gulf of Aden, Gardafi Channel and Somali Sea on the south, Bab el-Mandab Strait on the southwest, and the Red Sea, which is located on the southwest and the west. So these are the important geographic areas that keep on coming into the news. Further, the most prominent feature of the peninsula is the desert in the southwest, as there are mountain ranges which receive greater rainfall than the rest of the peninsula. Harat ash-Sham is a large volcanic field also that is present, that extends from northwestern Arabia into Jordan and southern Syria. Now you need to understand that Hijaz mountains and Asir mountains are responsible for the entire desertification of the Arabian Peninsula. So this was Harshvardhan Tripathi. We had discussed two important current affairs: the reforms needed in the MG Narega, the recent committee formed by Amarjeet Sinha, and the beating retreat ceremony of 26 January, bot lab ke drones, and further we had understood about Major Roberts. What are anamorphic projections? We have also discussed that, and in short we have tried to discuss the countries which are located in the Arabian Peninsula. All the very best for your preparation. I'll see you guys in the next. अगर ये वीडियो आपने लास्ट तक देखा है और आपको अच्छा लगा है तो इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करिए. एवरी डे हम आपको 2-3 इंपॉर्टेंट करंट अफेयर्स का वीडियो क्रिस्प फॉर्मेट में यहाँ पे डालते हैं.